Imagine this. You've planned the perfect date, everything is in place. You look your best, and the chemistry is there. But as the night goes on, something's just off. You can feel it. You're wondering what went wrong? And here's the thing. There are hidden psychological factors women secretly notice that can either make or break the experience. Subscribe to the channel. It's free. So are you really making a great impression on your dates? Let's find out. Point 1. Overconfidence. First up, let's talk about the overconfident dater. We've all seen it, right? The person who thinks they can charm their way out of anything, often without really listening. You may not realize it, but women are hardwired to sense arrogance from a mile away. If your conversation is all about you, or worse, you constantly one-up her stories, it's a massive turnoff. Women need to feel heard and understood. It's not about you, it's about us. Confidence is great. Overconfidence, however, not so much. Imagine a guy on a first date who constantly brags about his job or accomplishments, saying things like, "I'm the best at what I do. No one's even close to my level." Women might feel like the date is more about him showing off than about getting to know each other. Women typically value emotional intelligence, someone who listens, respects boundaries, and can balance their self-assurance with humility. Have you ever tried to impress someone with your knowledge, only to realize halfway through that they look like they'd rather be watching paint dry? Yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. Point 2. Talking about exes. Then there's the classic talking about your ex. It's like inviting baggage onto the date. Women pay attention to emotional intelligence, and if you bring up your ex on a first date, it signals that you might not have moved on emotionally. No one wants to feel like they're competing with a ghost. Keep it light and present. Leave the past where it belongs. Let's say you're on a date and you casually drop, "Well, my ex used to love this restaurant," or "My ex and I always did this on our dates." Even though the intention might not be to talk negatively about the past, this brings up a comparison that is unnecessary and awkward. The issue with talking about exes, especially on a first date, is that it signals a lack of closure or emotional readiness to move forward. Women typically want to feel like the date is a fresh start, not an emotional leftover from your past. Instead of talking about exes, focus on the present. Point 3. Being too predictable. Here's a big one. Predictability. Sure, there's comfort in a well-organized date, but when it's too routine, say dinner and a movie, every time, it can feel flat. Women crave excitement and variety, something that keeps them on their toes. Spice it up with new experiences or unexpected gestures. If your date feels like a checklist, it's not memorable. And let's face it, if they're not remembering you, someone else is. Being too predictable can create a sense of boredom, especially if the woman doesn't feel a personal connection or emotional spark. Women are wired to seek out novelty, and they're often turned off by experiences that feel generic or rehearsed. They want to be surprised, delighted, and swept off their feet, not simply go through the motions. To avoid being too predictable, think about how you can incorporate a sense of creativity or spontaneity into the date. Here are a few ideas. Instead of the usual dinner and movie setup, try something unique like going to a quirky local event, taking a scenic walk, or trying out a fun activity like pottery or an escape room. Point 4. Authenticity. Now let's flip the script to the best first date ideas. First and foremost, authenticity. Women can sense a fake from miles away. If you're pretending to be someone you're not, the conversation will feel hollow and the connection will crumble. Let's say you're out for coffee and your date says something like, "Oh, I'm totally into the same kind of music you like." Even though their actual tastes are very different, the most attractive thing you can be is real. Share your genuine self. If you're into quirky hobbies or have a unique perspective on life, let it show. Women appreciate vulnerability. It's one of the keys to building an emotional bond. Women want to know that the person they're talking to is someone who is real, open, and willing to be vulnerable. Point 5. Thoughtful gestures. Now let's talk about the little things. Thoughtful gestures speak louder than any grand display. Remembering the details, like what she mentioned she liked, or showing interest in her passions, makes her feel valued. Let's say you're on a date at a coffee shop, and your date mentions how much she loves a particular type of pastry or coffee. The next time you meet, you bring her that exact pastry or coffee, remembering the small detail she shared that you've been paying attention to her preferences, and it makes her feel special that you took the time to remember something about her. Women love when they're treated with respect and when their likes and dislikes are acknowledged. It's not about spending a fortune, it's about being thoughtful. Imagine how powerful it is to show someone that you care enough to listen and act on it. During your conversations, listen for clues about her likes, dislikes, and personal preferences. Imagine showing up with her favorite flowers, or even just her favorite type of coffee. You might as well be the king of the date night world. Point 6. Humor and playfulness. And let's not forget humor. A good laugh is one of the quickest ways to someone's heart. But not just any humor, think of it like an emotional bond. If you're both laughing and genuinely having fun, the date will feel more relaxed and enjoyable. Imagine you're on a date and you're talking about something light and silly, like your childhood experiences with food. You might say something like, "When I was a kid, I used to eat pizza with ranch dressing on top. Don't judge me. I thought I was a culinary genius." This type of playful self-deprecation can instantly lighten the mood. It shows that you don't take yourself too seriously. Humor not only makes a date memorable, but also helps women feel at ease. Just remember, self-deprecating humor works better than trying too hard to impress. Women appreciate a man who can make them laugh because it signals confidence, creativity, and a sense of ease. Use humor to create a fun, relaxed atmosphere, but avoid trying too hard to be funny. Point 7. Emotional connection. Now here's the secret sauce that always makes a date unforgettable: emotional connection. Forget the flashy dinners or Instagram-worthy locations. If you can create a space where both of you feel comfortable opening up and connecting on a deeper level, you're golden. Women want to feel heard and understood, so make sure your focus is on quality conversation, not just surface-level interactions. Don't rush. Real connections take time to build. But what if I told you that most people fail to make this connection without realizing it? What if there's a tiny mistake you're making that's causing women to pull away without you even knowing? Stick with me, and I'll tell you how you can avoid that mistake in a game-changing way. So there you have it, the best and worst first dates according to women, and the psychological triggers that either make or break your chances. But before you head off, let me ask you, are you making the right impression on your dates? Or could there be a small change that could unlock a whole new level of attraction? If you want to take your social attractiveness to the next level, be sure to check out my next video, How to Be Silently Attractive: 10 Socially Attractive Habits. These habits are subtle but powerful, and they might just be the key you're missing. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Your support helps YouTube recommend this content to more men who need to hear this.